So is it a good time to start with?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So can you please brief about your project experience?
Yeah, sure. So actually, currently I'm working with Cisco on the client location itself. So my current project is related to networking basically. Here we have like a huge number of devices that we can onboard within a network. Connect to those devices, fetch certain configurations from the devices. So basically it's a kind of an SDN controller where you can actually control the flow from one particular node to another node within a network. You can like configure circuits etc onto the device as well for the flow from one particular node to another node. If you talk about the technology stack into this project, I have been working into microservices based architecture where most of the services are there into Spring Boot. Apart from this, for the inter-service communication, we are using asynchronous mode of communication, that is Kafka. And we also have REST endpoints exposed into couple of services for UI to fetch data from the backend. Apart from this, for the storage purpose, we are using MongoDB. And if you talk about deployment and testing, we are using Docker containers for that. On the unit testing front, we are using JUnit along with Mockito framework. Apart from this, we are using like Git as the versioning tool, and Jenkins, Jira, etc. Grafana for monitoring purposes and things like that.
Okay. So you know about the Docker or Kubernetes?
Yes.
Okay. And also in DB side, you know MongoDB.
Yeah.
You are basically from which place?
Yeah, I'm from Bareilly, UP.
Okay. So means MongoDB, are you doing anything, any query you are writing, or just you have used that through any portal?
Yeah, we are actually using Mongo repository for that. We are extending the Mongo repository like JPA repository. It is similar to that. So it basically gives you almost all the methods like find all, find by IID, find by whatever you want to find out, save, update, things like that. For
Okay.
custom queries, you can use @query annotation inside the double quotes. You can provide the query, but in our project it is pretty simple, so I have never written a query like that, but yeah, I know how to do it.
Okay. So you know like any syntax how to create collection and drop collection in MongoDB.
Yes.
So means what is that method name to create collection?
I think it is using create only. I mean, use database we have to do, and then I think there is create using which create db dot create collection method is there.
Okay. Okay. So you know what is shading? Means any idea that is not related to MongoDB, any DB will have a shading concept.
No.
Okay, no issue, fine. So, and in microservices, what you are using basically to communicate between two microservices? Just a
Yes.
second,
So
some noise.
sure. Yeah, so actually we are using Kafka over here to actually communicate between different microservices.
So suppose you have a one microservices standalone application, and you have another, suppose weather report, another microservice someone else has written.
Okay.
So you want to call that weather report service from your microservices. So what are the APIs you will use to call that endpoint REST services?
Yeah, so in order to call that, I can use the REST template exchange method for calling the REST endpoint of that particular service from my service. Apart from this, whatever it must be requiring certain authorization headers, accept and content type. Apart from that, what is the request body and the method, so that we can provide as part of exchange method parameters, and will go to hit that particular endpoint of that service.
So do you know about the Feign client?
Yes.
So what that does, Feign client?
Yeah, so as far as I know, it is quite similar to REST, basically I mean REST template. It is also used to hit different third-party services REST endpoints. So I haven't actually used it, but this is all I know.
You are more aware of that REST template.
Yeah, we are actually using REST template.
So how you deploy your microservices, means what are the steps?
Yeah, so for the deployment purpose, like we are here for on the dev environment, we are using Docker for that. So basically, we have a Docker Compose file into which we specify all the images that we have, like for all the services that we want to deploy, we specify all the images. So as soon as we push the code and it is merged, it actually gets pushed to Docker Hub. So we can provide the Docker Hub image over there and take image. Along with that, we also provide like what is the environment, any environment variables you want to override or you want to provide to your application, you can specify over there. Apart from that, you can also specify like when or what should be its behavior on failure. Suppose you want to specify restart or something like that, you can do that as well. So there are a few things you can provide as part of that basically Docker Compose file. And as soon as that Docker Compose file is done, you can actually do a simple Docker Compose pull, so that it will actually pull all the images from the Docker Hub, and then you can do a Docker Compose up, and -d is for daemon, that will run at the background. So that will automatically start all your images from onto the corresponding containers.
Okay, so what is the Docker command to go inside the container?
Yeah, that is docker exec -it, the container id /bin/bash.
Okay. So suppose let's say uh, you have to do something, some configuration you have to load before a spring bin, a spring that container starts. So how will manage that? Means before that is your first step to initialize a property or anything, any loading, any configuration before the container starts. Okay, so that is the first process you want to do. So how will achieve that in Spring?
Yeah, so we can actually do that by this, you know, you can say we can actually PostConstruct will run after the initial. So you want before the initialization of bean, is it?
Yes.
Okay. That before bean initialization, I think.
Okay, leave it. Post construct. Why we use this?
Yeah, so basically we can use this post construct. So as soon as bean gets created, this post construct gets called, and you can write certain custom logic, whatever you want, post the creation of bean, just after the bean creation to be executed. That is,
Oh,
yeah.
so let's say the default server embedded in Spring Boot. What is that?
Yeah, that is Tomcat server.
Okay, how to change the Tomcat port? I mean default port.
Default port, either you can change it into server.properties file that is there into the Tomcat. Apart from that, you can actually into Spring Boot, you can actually provide server.port into your application.properties and update it.
Okay. So are you aware of any load balancer?
Yeah, there we are actually using the ribbon client for that.
Ribbon client, huh? That is obsolete.
Yeah.
Okay, means you are aware of ribbon client only.
Yeah.
Okay. So, suppose you have a in application YAML, you have a property you have to read in your application. How you can achieve that?
Yeah, so we can do it in two ways. Either we can auto wire the environment and we can do a environment.get property, and into double quotes we can actually provide the key of that particular property. Apart from this, we can also use @value as well.
Okay, super. So, you know about dependency injection, no? How many types?
Yeah, so that is basically a constructor and setter based dependency injection.
So, just I want to ask, which dependency injection is better, whether constructor based or setter based?
Basically, a setter based dependency injection is better, because suppose you are using constructor based, you need to provide all the parameters, and you also have to keep in mind the order of the parameters that has to be provided. Apart from that in setter based you can simply provide like property value name equal to and value equal to. You need not to provide all the values, and you do not even need to remember, okay, this, you do not even need to maintain, okay, on the 0th position I have to provide this only. By name it will automatically update that property values that you are actually providing.
But in sometimes in a situation, if I need all my mandatory, dependencies that should be initialized, and in that case, which dependent injection I should use?
I think in that case you can go for constructor based injection.
Okay. So, you would have used means in your Spring Boot application, what DB you are using?
Yeah, we are using MongoDB over here.
Okay, so what are the connection type you are using? Connection API to communicate.
We are actually using creating the Mongo templates using the Mongo client. So into Mongo client actually we are providing the host name and port and everything to connect to the MongoDB.
Okay, suppose let's say, have you ever used Oracle or any other apart from NoSQL?
I haven't used them as part of my um, experience journey with IT. I have actually idea of queries of MySQL that I usually did in my BTech.
Okay, okay. So, but are you aware of any, connection like, do you aware of Hibernate,
No,
JPA?
actually we are using JPA. Yeah, yeah, JPA we are using.
So, in JPA, how to create connection?
Uh,
JD, how to create a connection to Oracle SQL or any MySQL?
that I'm
So,
not.
have you ever used?
No, actually that I'm not aware of how to do it for MySQL. Like we usually, I did it for MongoDB couple of times. So there, like we have, we create Mongo client into which we actually provide the host name and port, and we have a listener that continuously listens to that particular, you know, thing. And as soon as it gets connected, there are into the listeners, like we have multiple three kind of that is basically cluster listener. So into that we actually have three methods like cluster open, cluster close, and cluster change. So into that basically we specify, okay, this got connected, and then into change, if the state is connected, then we proceed ahead with our functionality.
Okay, okay. So, yeah, you are not aware of any entity manager and all. So, apart from MongoDB side, any SQL DB you have used or you used long back, like any JDBC connection or
Mm,
basic Hibernate also, that you are not aware of?
no.
Okay, okay, no issue. So, which design pattern you are comfortable?
Yeah, so I have actually worked on most of the creational design patterns like factory, abstract factory, this singleton prototype, mostly them.
Okay, so do you know about other design pattern?
Yeah, I mean, I also know the template design pattern as well.
So how you handle exception, in your microservices?
Yeah, so for handling exception, like we have custom exceptions that we create actually. Like for example, there is some request coming from the UI, and the request is while validating, we find out it is not proper. So we create like a bad request exception, extending the runtime exception, and along with that we associate a response status with it. That will be, in case of bad request, it will be 400. So like that, and then further we create the controller advices where we actually provide the exception handler for that particular custom exception. So as soon as that exception gets thrown, it goes to our particular exception handler, inside which we have a custom, you can say, response format that we actually return to the UI. So that basically consists of the error code along with error message description, and whatever is the timestamp. So we actually populate all those details and then further return to the UI from that particular exception handler.
Okay, okay. So in Spring Boot, how the auto configuration helps?
Yeah, so auto configuration is basically used, is part of Spring Boot application annotation itself, and it actually is used to auto configure most of the things. Earlier on, we used to manually configure things, but here you need not to worry about, and it automatically configures most of the things. Like for example, I'll just give you an example. It automatically converts your objects to basically this JSON format. Like you can see, you actually hit a particular endpoint, and we are actually returning beans over there. So this auto configuration using Jackson libraries, actually it automatically converts it to JSON. I think it is I am not sure,
Yeah.
Jackson object mapper or something like that, using which it automatically converts it into JSON, and returns to the UI. So this is something I can say as an example of auto configuration.
Okay, okay. Sure. So you have that Spring Boot application annotation.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is combination of how many annotation?
Yeah, that is a combination of basically three annotations. One is component scan, another one is auto configuration, and then we have, I think, this at the rate configuration, I think, is there.
That configuration component and enable auto
Yeah.
configuration. So are you comfortable in Java 8?
Yes.
What is default methods in Java 8?
Sorry, please come again.
What is a default method in Java 8?
Yeah, so default method is basically introduced as part of Java 8 into functional interfaces. So basically into default methods as part of functional interfaces, now you can actually specify default methods with method body as well in the functional interface itself.
So can I write another method inside a default method?
Inside a default method, you can write another method. Uh, if that is part of that interface, I think maybe yes, you can write it. I never tried it, not sure, but I think ideally you should be able to write it.
You are telling I can write. Are you sure or?
I'm not sure, but I haven't actually done it. But I think, as far as my basic knowledge, I think it should be possible to write it. I haven't
Yeah, that's
written it, honestly speaking, but yeah, it should be possible. That is what I think.
yeah, correct. but we can write private methods. So we just, our intention is to just minimize the the coding in the default method, so we can have more methods inside the default methods.
Yeah.
So, coming to are you aware of any data structure sorting? Which sorting you are comfortable?
Yeah, so basically, I am aware of this merge sort, bubble sort, and yeah, couple of these.
Okay. And I am not going into that detail because this is our complete project are into microservices. So basically, we are focusing more onto that side. Okay, that load balancing, Docker, Kubernetes, all this. So, which cloud technology you are means? Uh, we have basically in market we have three major cloud provider like Azure, Google Cloud, and AWS. You'll be knowing, and also one more from VMware, that TCF. So, on basically, you are comfortable in either of these, or you have not worked till now?
No, actually, I didn't got a chance to work on any of the cloud. Here we are just using Docker environment.
Okay, okay, okay. And Kubernetes, little bit you are, or you are
Yes, yes,
totally.
that I'm aware of.
Okay. So, are you aware of any class? We have class loaders in Java, no? So, how many class loaders we have basically in
Yeah, we
Java?
have three types of class loader, Bootstrap, application class loader, and I think third one was extended class loader.
Okay. So, in our Spring Boot application, usually we'll have either property file, application property, or application YAML.
Yeah.
So, which is the better way to configure?
Uh, I think I'm not sure which is the better way. Like it is usually you can say two different types of schema into application dot properties. You can simply specify like the entire key using the dot, and you can specify the key over there and the value. In YAML, basically you have to provide like suppose I have spring dot data dot something, so you have to provide the key like spring. Inside that you have to actually nestedly provide data and then things like that. So it is kind of a nested architecture. If you talk about readability, I think readability of YAML is better, because you get to see like okay, inside this particular key these many things are coming. However, in application dot properties, it is specified in a single line using the dot dot dot. So readability wise, I think YAML is better. Rest I am not aware of what is the major, if there is some other advantage as well.
Okay, no, no issue. So, I'll give you a small program.
Sure.
Just tell me, suppose you have to, write a simple, you have to develop simple REST endpoint. Okay, you can say that is a one microservice. So where you have to accept the employee ID in the URI path. Okay,
Okay.
and you have to search in your DB, and if that ID is present, then you have to pass the details like the salary, age, and department to the caller. If ID is not present, you have to throw exception, ID is not found.
Okay.
Okay, and the method, whatever you like, you tell me like how you want to implement.
Yeah, so since I want to actually return certain kind of data based on ID, so it will be a get HTTP get method, into which I will be taking the path variable as into curly braces as ID, and I will have a method like get as you mentioned employee, so get employee, and I'll take that string ID as part of my method parameter at the rate, using at the rate path variable annotation, and then I will actually create a service layer for this, where I will have the business logic here, like we do not have any kind of specific business logic. So I can simply and for getting the ID, I can simply, like if we are using for example MongoDB, I can create my custom repository using @repository annotation, and I can do an extends Mongo repository. There I can provide, into that actually I need to provide the collection name. So suppose I have the collection name as employee and comma the type of my ID. So suppose for example that is long, for example, so I can do it like employee comma long into my repository. And then coming back to my service, ideally it is advised not to make DB calls into your service layer that is specific to business logic. So I'll create a DAO layer basically that will actually interact with my DB. For example, suppose employee DAO, I'll auto wire this into my service and call the employee DAO method, where I will actually call the repository method and return the data that I get using the find by ID. Into that I'll provide the ID and then return it basically from there.
Okay, perfect. So, do you have any knowledge in on config server?
Are you talking about Spring Cloud config server?
Yes.
Yeah.
Spring Cloud config server.
Yes.
So, are you aware of that?
Yeah.
Why we use that?
Yeah, so that is basically into your microservice based architecture. Like we have a lot of services, suppose 30 or 20 services we have, and we have different set of properties there in all our services. So whenever like we have some common kind of properties, like we have profiles also, like for dev we have a different profile, for production we have a different profile into each of our services. So all the common things basically that are there in all the services, we can include as part of one central place, that is Spring Cloud config server. We can have that server basically as a Spring Boot application we can create, and into that we can actually configure all the set of property files. So it is with convention service name, and then you can actually provide the profile along with whatever is your dot properties after that. So it automatically at the time when rest of the services comes up, they actually fetch the configuration from the Spring Cloud config server, and then using those configurations they configure themselves, and after that they start. And if suppose we want to change some certain configurations and runtime, so at that particular time also Spring Cloud config server is very useful. Otherwise for each and every this particular application, if you want to change something, you will have to reboot. So yeah, so basically at this point of time also just a second. Yeah, so basically into this also we actually using this as soon as there is some change, we directly change into the property file, that automatically is notified by the Spring Cloud config server to the respective services, and they perform the reboot operation, which is very quick. So the restart is actually very quickly performed, and that new properties will be loaded again into that particular service.
Okay. So you are currently working on Ultron.
Yeah.
That was Arisen, no, earlier.
Yes. So it was Aricent earlier when I joined. Now it's Altran, and I think in a couple of months, or maybe by the time I leave, it will be Capgemini. So right now there is some transition going on for the Capgemini.
So you are working for Cisco client now.
Yes.
So all these whatever microservices you are working in for Cisco project.
Yes.
Okay. So you are you comfortable in writing JUnits?
Yes.
So what you use for mocking REST template?
Yeah, so for mocking REST template, we are using Mockito over here. Like we mock the REST template basically, and in the code actually what we do is we do like mockito.when, and we provide the mock of REST template dot, suppose I'm calling the exchange method, that method along with some parameters, or you can specify like mockito.ne or things like that. and then you do a then return. So whatever you actually want to return as part of that, you can actually return into then return method.
And for DB mock?
Yeah, DB, for that we are actually mocking the repository in the similar fashion, repository interface actually.
But you are telling you are using Mockito. See, suppose you are mocking any REST template, so something you'll be mocking, any annotation you'll use for that. Just tell me the annotation.
Yeah, it will be @mock.
Correct. And in the class level, which annotation will you use?
You're talking about, suppose I have class A, and I have to actually mock class A into my Mockito, so I will use @inject mocks into that, so that all the mocks get injected into it.
Okay. And have you ever set up any CI/CD pipeline, or are you aware of any DevOps activity like setting up pipeline CI/CD for auto deployment and all?
No, actually I haven't set it up. I have just used, like, I haven't set it up, like there are multiple jobs into Jenkins that we set up and
So your pipeline runs in Jenkins or Git?
yeah, so basically Git we are using as a versioning tool. Like I'll just explain you the process. So we are actually using Git as a versioning tool. As soon as we raise a pull request, we push certain code into Git, and using the Bitbucket we actually raise the pull request. As soon as we raise a pull request, it actually triggers a Jenkins job basically for basically running all your JUnits for static analysis using SonarQube coverage and all. And there are certain automation builds that also run on every pull request to just to ensure that you haven't broke any existing functionality. So all those things get run as part of a build pipeline, and once you are through it, there are mandatory reviewers who review your code, and finally it gets merged onto the master branch.
Okay, so who handles this writing the scripts and all for the pipeline or Jenkins scripts? Who is taking care?
Yeah, actually that is done by the DevOps team here.
Okay. So yeah, sometimes now actually developer also sometimes into DevOps.
Yeah.
So yeah, because there are different tools, version control tool, and now the third party they are providing one in everything. You can have version control, you can set up a pipeline, everything like you say GitLab.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so depending on the company that is there, but you should be ready, no, to set up your own pipeline if required.
Yeah.
Okay, and one more thing, you have to work more on about the just read something about how to apart from MongoDB were good, but coming to the Oracle side, because depending MongoDB has its own advantages, but maximum cases according to Oracle we also use MongoDB.
Okay.
But in some microservices we use Oracle, depending upon the requirement. Some company don't bear the expenses of Mongo license and all.
Yeah.
So in that case, you have to learn about like how JDBC connection works, or how Hibernate entity works, or how JP entity works and all. So just read more on that for next round and all. Okay.
Sure.
Work on that. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I would just like to ask what kind of a project you guys are actually hiring, if you can disclose. I got to know that most of the technology stack, as we had a discussion. Just some insights from the project, if you can
Yeah, sure.
disclose.
So actually, basically, we are working on for a product. The product name I can disclose. That is, company policy, but that is into Internet of Things. Okay. So we are working a part of telemetry, means telemetry transfer,